Are you going to turn the camera on? You're just going to look through it. Hey, 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 hey. What did he say?
I don't listen to him. And we welcome you into the Rowdy Studios here to talk about our race at Kansas, the NASCAR race at Kansas, Sprint Cup Series. I'm Tom Voort, that's Stephen Levine, and we had a little chat with Alan Gustafson of Hendrick Motorsports about this racetrack.
This will be the last race at this track before the repave. So everything that Alan says is relevant only to this race and not beyond. Kansas, you know, a lot of people think, well, that's the track that the term cookie cutter was invented for, but all of these tracks are slightly different. You can't just say, well, Kansas is exactly like Chicagoland or whatever. What is it about Kansas that is unique and that is different and perhaps presents unique challenges?
The surface is really the big thing. And, you know, the transitions into the corner, even though they can say, hey, it's banked 14 degrees or it's banked 12 degrees or, yeah, that's true at one section of the corner, but those transitions into the corner are always different. Even if they tried to say, hey, we're going to do two tracks, these are exactly the same, you know, they never come out the same. So the transitions in the corner are different. The surface has gotten rough, which always makes it a little bit more entertaining for the fans. I think the cars will come up off the bottom of the track. The top grooves really come in. I really enjoy that racetrack. It's a very competitive track. It's a track where you'll see guys who could be really good early in the run, really hunting the white line on the bottom of the racetrack and making up a lot of time, and then guys will come in. I can think of the last race, you know, we had a good car to start, pretty good car at the end. Martin Truex, we'd drive away from him when we were in the next state, and then here he comes. He gets the top groove working and he runs us back down. So I think that's very exciting. I know it is for competitors. I think it is for fans. And then they're going to pave it. So they're going to pave it after the first race, which is going to make it completely different going back in the chase. So it's a great track. It's a lot of fun to watch. Man, I like the area too. I don't know if you guys have been there or go there, but it's a really cool place to go.
Good barbecue.
Great bar. There's a great little place. I can't think of the name. Oklahoma Joe's. It's a great little.
There you go.
They need to give me a free plate of food for that.
They said they're watching.
Is Kansas, is it particularly slick? I mean, when I think about Chicagoland, it seems like Kansas just lacks the grip of a Chicagoland.
It is a little slicker, and it seems like the time of year, I know we've changed, it should be a little worse. The more sun that's on that racetrack, the slicker it's going to be. And that creates that multiple groove, and that's really, as a racer, that's what you want. Because there's going to be times where you struggle and you don't have the exact right balance of the car, and the driver can search around in various lines. So it is a little bit slick, and it's you slip and slide and you wear tires out, so it's competitive.
It is a slick racetrack, Kansas. It is something that requires a bit of finesse. It looks a lot like Chicagoland, but doesn't have the grip that Chicagoland has.
But it does have multiple grooves, which gives the driver some options and means we could get some good side-by-side racing.
It's our second downforce race in a row, so obviously a couple things are going to matter. Track position is going to matter, clearly.
Obviously.
But, you know, this race last year, the first Kansas race last year, did come down to fuel mileage. It wouldn't be shocking to see that happen again at all.
No. I think on any mile-and-a-half to 2-mile downforce track, you have to assume that fuel mileage will come into play. It's almost the exception when it doesn't come into play. And of course, with fuel mileage comes track position. They go hand in hand.
Yeah, and track position also just based on clean air, the air you need on the nose of your car, really, and the tail end of the car to get it pushed down to the track, get grip through the corners, and run fast. When you look at drivers, two guys stand out as obvious picks here. Greg Biffle, who has finished in the top 3, like in over half his starts here.
I think in 11 starts, he only has 3 finishes outside of the top 10.
Yeah, and he's got, I think, 6 top 3 finishes. Was a little off last year, but did start the last Kansas race on the pole. So you have to like Greg Biffle after his win last week at Texas.
Yeah.
He's got 2 wins here. And Jimmy Johnson, he was also strong at Texas, and he was very strong at Kansas, won the last race at Kansas, the second race at Kansas last year.
And remember who won the spring race at Kansas, and I think finished 3rd in the fall race?
Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski. Now, he's been a little bit off since his win at Bristol. Perhaps this is a racetrack where he can reemerge and announce his presence.
You know who I think could reemerge, and I think is going to reemerge this weekend? The 24 car of Jeff Gordon. He won the first 2 races at Kansas, had a good day at Texas. I think maybe this is a race where Jeff Gordon emerges as a contender for the win. It hasn't been the best start to the season for him.
You know who's an interesting guy? A guy who has never scored a top 10 at Kansas, but was strong at Texas and has been having a strong season in 2012 is Martin Truex Jr. Remember, before his teammate Clint Boyer posted that first win at New Hampshire, we would never have thought of Clint Boyer as a New Hampshire driver, as a guy to consider, and now it's automatic. Well, maybe Martin Truex Jr., after his strong run at Texas, has something figured out on these downforce tracks and could score his first top 10 and vie for the win this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. And if you think about what Alan Gustafson said to us a little while ago, he talked about the 56 car. That, of course, is Martin Truex Jr. So he has had some decent speed at this track before. Who you like, ultimately?
Well, you know,
hard to pick against the Biff or Jimmy.
It's hard to pick against the Biff. I think he can make it 2 weekends in a row. This is actually a more likely track for him to win at than Texas was last week. So, you know, I'm going to go with the Biffle.
The Biffle.
The Biffle. That's, you know, what he and I like to. Okay. He calls me the Levine. I call him the Biffle.
Well, I wish you guys would stop. I'm going to go with Jeff Gordon. You know, Matt Kenseth should be good here.
Carl Edwards
should be good here.
He considers this his home track.
Absolutely.
He's never won here.
I just got a feeling about Jeff Gordon this week. Maybe it's because we talked to his crew chief, but I'm going to go with Jeff.
All right. There you go. For Tom Vandervoort, I'm Stephen Levine. Thanks for watching.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.